allowing your team members to make mistakes, to do it in a more agile way with smaller incremental changes instead of the big bang, and everybody is disappointed because it's not exactly what they want. Cutting it in smaller pieces makes it more fun. You have more celebration moments. It's easier to adopt.
Hi everyone, welcome to Radical Transformation. It's the show where we get up close and personal with the leaders transforming and disrupting business today. I'm your host, Mike Swetman, and I'm delighted to be joined today by Henri Snijders. Welcome, Henri. Just a little bit about Henri. I'm going to try and summarize nearly 30 years of your career in 30 seconds, so bear with me. But I believe you started out at Mitsubishi Caterpillar in the 90s, so got a few grey hairs like me. That's when I started out in the working world. You started out, of course, in logistics and supply chain before joining IBM's ERP business Maximo and also working for NedTrain. By 2010, you'd taken the plunge and stepped away from corporate life to set your own business up as an entrepreneur. That was Ox Plus, a asset management digital consultancy. And I know that that grew exponentially to the point that 10 years later, and by 2020, there'd been significant interest in the business and it had been acquired by Cohesive. So congratulations on that, Henri. And for those of you who don't know who Cohesive are, they're the digital integration arm of Nasdaq-listed Bentley Systems, who are a leading global infrastructure engineering consultancy. I have to say what's really interesting here in Henri's journey is that rather than just walking away and maybe taking up golf, as some people do, he stayed on and today is Cohesive's Chief Transformation Officer. And that means that a lot of his time is spent in M&A activity because Bentley is a very acquisitive business. So I know that they've got some fantastic brands that they're integrating, and Henri is front and center of doing that type of work and a lot of change management. So hopefully, Henri, I've done your career justice in 30 or so seconds. Please fill the gaps in if I haven't. And welcome again to the show. How are you today?
Well, very good. Thank you. And thanks for having me here. Well, it started a little bit earlier than only Mitsubishi Caterpillar. It actually started at EMI Music, where they made records.
Yes.
Pretty old fashioned. So that's where I started my career, building up several things. But yeah, my heart at that time really was already in project management, program management, and basically with real heavy industry related companies. So yeah, that's at least my background.
Fantastic. Good. So I know you've flown in especially today to meet with customers and partners. I think I'm your last stop today. You've also brought the weather with you, Storm Kieran. Is this a sign of that you're here to disrupt the market, bring chaos, bring energy? Yeah,
every time when I come to London, I have two challenges. It's or a storm or a train strike, so it's always something. But no, happy to be here again. Met some nice people from Bentley, where we work very closely together with. On some interesting opportunities at BP, at Shell. Also met some business partners because we are expanding our business. We are growing heavily also in providing our services to our clients on organizational change management. Yes. To really make sure that our clients also going to adopt the digital transformation. So yeah, it was good 2 days.
Fantastic. Well, Henri, let's, with no further ado, dive right in then. What I'd like to know from you, because I'm curious, is what does being cohesive mean to you?
Yeah, for me that means a lot. But the most important thing is the people side of business. So we split it up in basically two streams. One is how is our client looking at us? So how do we make ourselves rememberable? What does it mean for our clients working with Cohesive, so that they work for that cool company, that they want to come back, that they see that we are knowledgeable, that we understand our clients' challenges, that we speak the same language, and really also care about the people on the floor at our clients. So not only strategically, but also really making sure that the people who need that change, who need to adopt changes to be future-proof, really want to work with it. The other side is also internally focus on really valuing our people. It's very hard to get the right people, but we are a people business. So from Bentley is more the software provider, making very good software in the market, where we are the system integrator, really working with our clients. And you can only do that with very happy, healthy people that are really proud of, cohesive, what we do, how we do it, to make that rememberable. So we need to keep on track on that on a daily basis. So every day working on making it and staying it a family, make sure that everybody can explore, that it can be innovative, and basically make it also a family for them, so that we see them as family members, but they also want to reach out. That is basically what cohesive means for me, and being cohesive means for me.
Good. And has it been a challenge? Have you had to adjust from being absolutely in charge of the business to having other people, having shareholders, being part of, although independent from, but being controlled by Bentley? Has that been a difficult or easy adjustment for you, Henry? How's that journey been for you personally?
It's different. And sometimes it's also hard because you come back in a more bureaucratic organization. But many times it's also for the good reason. So it's not just, I was very used to make very quick decisions. I'm very intuitive. I'm not really an analyst that wants to digest everything, but I'm very quick in making the right decisions. But I wanted to take it to the next step, where I'm working with very professional other members in the board, because that makes you better. It makes me feel supported if other people believe in the same ideas, that we can work it out before we actually start doing stuff. I'm an activator, but sometimes I also knew that I could do a better job if I have support and more members in the board that work on a strategy, that really think through what we need to do. So that's challenging, but I think at the end also gets to a better result.
And fantastic. And you told me you're living your dream now, aren't you?
Yes.
Your best life at Cohesive. What drives you still? Because a lot of people, as I said, would maybe sell a business and then step away, take up golf or buy a boat or whatever your hobby is, your passion is, but and you may have done that, but you haven't stepped away from the business, and I imagine you're working as hard as ever. So what is it that's still driving you on?
Well, the first thing is that I was looking for the next step, so not really selling it to get retired. I was up to the next step. What for me is a very nice challenge, starting in an industry which is all about software, about data, which is very important. We all go into that direction. We need to make faster decisions. We cannot wait. It's a relentless change that we're all in. And I would like to be part of it, but I would like to be part of that people part of it. So, and it sounds easy because the people need to adopt it, but it's not always easy because it goes so fast. We really need to be very careful about our people. We see that a lot of people have burnouts, very stressful situations. And the most important thing in being successful for everybody is being healthy, a healthy mind, using your brains in the right way, have enough rest, but still we're also very ambitious. So to create that combination in doing business, because that's what I really like. I like a company to be successful. I like to be our company Cohesive, which is built out of 9 merged companies, to make that into one company. That for me was already a big challenge. We're still in that. The journey doesn't stop. But also really make that difference for our clients, but also for internal our people. And that sounds a little bit like I'm repeating myself, but the journey that we're in can be very stressful. And to still make it fun, make sure that everybody can also live their dream, that we help them in building their careers and having the right training. And that for me is exactly the same thing. I'm also being challenged by new stuff that I need to learn. I can do training in emerging acquisitions. I just finished and graduated in neuro leadership. So also for me, it's a day-to-day, never-ending journey that we are in, and that's what I like the most.
I get that. Let's explore a bit more family, because you said that Cohesive for you is a family, and you love the people you work with. And if you're integrating or integrated 9 businesses, effectively you've got 9 different families coming together to form one bigger family, and where the sum of the whole is greater than the sum of its individual component parts.
Yeah.
So how do you maintain that family feel as the business grows? Because I know that you employ a lot of people now in that family. What's the sort of secret sauce, if you like, to maintain that family feel to the business whilst going out there and being able to innovate and win increasingly big jobs and competing on the global stage?
I think it's by really appreciating the different cultures that we have, the different strengths that we have, and combine that in the right way. You can challenge people, but you also need to listen if there are some worries, if there are some growth paths that they need to follow. So it's combining the aspiration, the passion of the different people that they have, where they want to grow to, combining that in being successful in their career, but also make sure that we spend enough time in relaxing, still coming to the office, because that's still also a challenge. We all work from our homes, we get used to it, but we see that we miss real interaction with each other. So how can we find each other? How can we learn from each other? How can the more senior people also spread their experience, share their knowledge with the younger talents that work in a different way? We have different generations. We have people in our company between, I think, 25 and 65. And by combining that and really willingness to learn from each other, you see that opportunities just get there, it just popping up. And making that combination of the more senior and the younger people, appreciating their strengths but also their worries, I think that is what is makes us stronger.
Interesting, Henri, because I've often thought it's very challenging when you've got a big age span like that, as you say, 25 through to 65, to really kind of get that cooperation going. And are you seeing that some of your most experienced people are still managing to learn from some of your most junior, and not vice versa? And if so, how are you facilitating that knowledge transfer? Because us old dogs are never too old to learn new tricks, are we?
No. Well, we did several things. We started by building different teams. So we have a business integration liaison team, basically people that are representing our company worldwide. So people from different ages, from different cultures, different genders, living in a completely different part of the world. And we having bi-weekly meetings organized by our people and culture directors. So that has a real attention there. To listen to them, what's going on in the office, what do we want to improve. And it goes to very simple things like, can we still organize a small party with our team locally here because we miss each other. But it also is about a healthy place to work, where we really consider, do we all have the right desk, do we have the right chair, but do we also have enough opportunities to rest or to learn? So that's a very important thing. So we are setting up multiple groups within our organization where we can share our ideas, our thoughts, our ways how we would like to change. So that is those community of practice are very important to us. We have set up a change network, which is very important. So if we have some internal transformations or change plans in mind, that we have in all layers of the organization people that basically are going to implement that change, because we are not going to do it. It's not possible. We cannot drive that change if it's not going to be adopted by line managers who are going to share it with their teams, because they trust their line manager. So we have set up different ways how we integrate that within our organization to make sure that we understand everybody, but that we also reach everybody. And that sounds sometimes easy, but it's difficult, because we also have these people that just want to sit behind that desk, do that job in the right way, and are not really the people that you hear every day. So you need to have your eyes and ears everywhere to make sure that you also get everybody engaged at the end.
Got it. How do you measure happiness? Because we have talked about this, haven't we, Paul?
Yeah, it's an important thing, and it's not easy. How can you measure real happiness? We have the Healthy Place to Work module and software that we use, where we put in our data on surveys. So we measure it several times a year. That is very helpful, and we're going to do more and more with that. Tina Burgers, our people and culture director, is picking it up very seriously and with good success. It's retention. So do our people like to stay? So do we create that environment where people really would like to stay, and where they're also going to encourage family members, families, friends to start working for us as well? So that are for us very important key indicators to see if we are right on track, if we need to do something, sickness, leave, those kind of things are all measurements that we take very seriously.
Great. I'd like to pivot slightly now to talk about customers, and you talked earlier about adoption. On that theme, you're a systems integrator, and you've got some great technology. Bentley have, and you've yourself personally been involved in hundreds of and digital transformations, often underpinned by software. Now, how do you ensure that your technology is adopted by your customers and doesn't just become shelfware, so they get the value that they're expecting and they're promised from the technology?
Most important thing in that is getting the people involved from the start. So also in the past, many companies made a big mistake by taking a lot of time to design, to think about the people that need to use it, what is the right way, but without getting them really involved. So the earlier you get that involvement, that engagement of the people that need to start working with it at the end, take away the fears that it is going to change their ways of working, but we listen to them and also value their experience and how they would like to work in the future, because, well, basically they are what we need to understand on a day-to-day basis, where they have challenges, where they see improvements, because they understand better what they do than we do. So you need to get them engaged. That fear that I already mentioned is a very important part, especially now with AI. Am I going to lose my job? All these kind of things. You just need to handle that with care, but also as soon as possible in the process. If you can secure them that, yes, a lot of things is going to change. We can remove a lot of dull work, but your role in this, with your experience, becomes even more important, because you are going to use that data that we are going to provide to make better decisions, to help you with that. Then they really take that ownership. And if they are taking that ownership, then it makes our lives easier, because then they are committed to test what we are creating. Then they are committed to share with their colleagues what we're up to. And then we can organize roadshows to really go to the locations to demonstrate what we're up to, what the quick wins are for them. So what is in it for you is always a very important trigger for real adoption. If they feel that also not only the management team or the board is having the revenue and the profits from a large invitation, but they as well, then they are very committed to also take their effort in to make it successful.
Brilliant. I get that. It's a classic change management, really, isn't it? What advice and guidance would you give to our listeners who are being asked to or be embarking on a digital transformation? What would your key piece of advice be to them?
Is to really make it people-centric. And that also is a classic one, but the first thing that we immediately start with, it's a big investment, and we need to have that return investment. So it needs to be right in the first place, but it can never be right in the first place. So allowing your team members to make mistakes, to do it in a more agile way with smaller incremental changes instead of the big bang, and everybody is disappointed because it's not exactly what they want. By learning mistakes, they get involved, but you also get better information to do it the next time even better. So cutting it in smaller pieces makes it more fun. You have more celebration moments. It's easier to adopt, because you get already in smaller pieces what is going to be. And I think that move over the last 15 years in more incremental instead of these large projects where it's going to be very difficult to follow what's really happening, makes it much easier for everybody in the organization to basically get out of it what they expect.
Good. So chunking it down is what I'm hearing, making it fun, getting quick wins on the board, yes. Learning from mistakes early and course correcting where required. And really that interactivity, that communication, that agile way of working is critical for a successful digital transformation. Yeah,
and at the end, it also becomes more efficient, because you basically are going to save time and money on it, because you have fast returns on investment on the first pieces that you already implement. But our environment is changing so rapidly that we cannot make plans for the next 2 years because you never know what's even happening in the next quarter. So making that incremental where you have more quarterly business reviews to really identify, are we right on track? What has changed in our situation? Do we need to reprioritize what we are doing? That's absolutely key in where we are in at this moment. It's not the same way of change where we were in 10 or 15 years ago, where you had that time to spend 2 years on an implementation because, well, the real benefits came after 4 years. You don't know what's happening in 4 years. Maybe you have a completely different company in 4 years. Maybe you have a completely different workforce in 4 years. You need to have absolutely completely different skills in 4 years because it's changing so rapidly that we need to make that evolving. And still you need to be relentless because you have a target, you have an horizon that you want to work to. But to do that, you make that continuously flow of value into your company. And if you get your team members, your people aligned to that and make them owner of that, then you will see that it will be basically a never-ending journey that you start up.
Got it. Excellent. What advice would you give to our listeners if they are right now selecting or going to be selecting an implementation partner for their business, for their transformation? What considerations should they be taking into account?
Taking ownership themselves. You see many times that they still put out very large standards where they're really going to select a business partner that needs to do everything for them. And then really from the back side, really start looking at them, how they are going to do it, how are they going to manage the contract that took them so much time to really get that awarded, to look at the money that they are spending, are they spending it wisely, without really taking also that ownership themselves. So what we see are the most successful implementations is where also the owner of the company himself really take that responsibility, want to be part of it, want to make sure that they embed it in their organization and don't look at their supplier as a supplier, but really as a partner. And I think if they really partner up, take that shared responsibility and not just fight over the contract, because so many contracts are losing value because they manage the contract instead of the real outcomes that they expect. But if you work as a partnership to reach those outcomes, you are far more effective in what you want to achieve.
Got it. And in terms of sharing outcomes that you talk about, are you seeing more and more innovative models around doing that so that there's skin in the game both ways on these projects? And if so, what's your model?
Yeah, you definitely need to invest both ways in a good relationship. So if you decide to work together and then you have faith, then you already have these conversations, you're not being selected or you haven't selected the supplier for the wrong reasons. You were very careful in that. And at the moment you start, you really need to open up. You need to share your challenges, your worries, what is keeping you awake. And then both parties really need to invest in that long-term relationship that you would like to build, because you are not going to reach outcomes overnight. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes money. So by diving into the deep together makes a large difference. Also there it's all about ownership. We both own that goal that we have, that mountain that we need to climb, that journey. If we both own that, then it's almost already a guarantee for success, because you take sidetracks, you reprioritize together, and sometimes you lose something, sometimes you gain something, but it's all about that doing it together, and that makes a big difference.
Yeah, I get that. The partnership and that shared goal is critical. And I think a lot of it's in the setup, isn't it, Henri?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It all starts there. I read that your mission is to help organizations become infinitely better. So it's a bold and big claim and an audacious goal. How?
Well, also that comes back, I think, to that incremental changes. So Mark Bew, our previous CEO, he once asked me to read the book The Infinite Game, and I never really understood why. But I was struggling and I was making plans, and I said, well, I cannot bother anymore, so I'm going to read that book. And that was such an eye-opener why he gave it to me. So if you think that your journey has an end, then you work towards that end, but you're never done. So I think by striving to become infinitely better, continuously working on improving, making sure that it never ends, but you take it in smaller steps. For me, that's something that really makes me very enthusiastic and passionate, that I never have to stop in finding new ways and come up with new ideas and talk to new people, learn from them, really look further than only that one goal or the two goals that you may be set for the next 2 years. It's something about really getting everything engaged and activated to become continuously better, because I think that's what is making me getting out of bed every day come up with new ideas, and sometimes go a little bit too fast. I need to make sure that the people that I'm collecting do understand what I'm up to, and that's not always the easiest thing because I have so many ideas. But that you never have to stop with your good ideas. That for me is something that really drives me.
And having implemented this philosophy, this approach within Cohesive and across the Bentley Group, what have your findings been? What advice and guidance would you give people who are looking maybe to implement such a strategy within their businesses? What are the things you need to get right to make that happen? Because it's not easy, is it?
Do you mean internally or
internally? Yes. Internally, yes.
No, it's not easy, and definitely with all the ideas that I have, I need to be very careful that people don't get that change fatigue. They also need to have that rest, and sometimes they also ask me, Henry, we need to slow down now a little bit. And next year we're also going to do that, because we had many changes. We had 3 additional large companies joined our company, integrated them, so that's a lot. So we also need to get that rest in now, take some peace, put some love into people, like our new CEO is also mentioning to many. And from there, we also will see that the growth will continue, because then if they settle down, then that can also be used in really also using their ideas and really starting to collaborate. So there's a time to run, but there's also a time to relax and to have more that peaceful mindset in there, and basically just do your job and do it in the right way.
And I can see that, because otherwise it just might feel like you're on a treadmill on a journey that never ends. And I think you need to, along the way, have some signposts to tell you that you're doing well.
Yeah, but that's also part of that never-ending journey. So if you don't have to push yourself or your organization to really reach that goal with limited time, with limited budget, but with that very clear end date, then the stress already hits the fan, because you have already that stressful moment of hitting the deadline. If you leave the deadline, but if you really focus more on that flow of value and how to get there with the right people, with the right investments, but also having the ability to just go left or just go right, or maybe stop something because there are other priorities, it makes it also easier to just have some moments of rest and really adoption and use it in the right way.
Great. Henri, what challenges are your customers experiencing at the moment in the asset management environment? I'm thinking particularly built environment. I know you do a lot of work in transportation as well, rail, but are there some themes that you're seeing? And if so, what solutions Cohesive coming up with, are you coming up with to solve those customers' challenges? What are you doing to really disrupt the space right now?
Really, environmental challenges are the rain, the flooding, everything that's happening with the weather. So really forecasting what is going to happen. Where can we see that large flooding can happen, so that we can do something against it. That's a very large thing where Bentley is really focused on now and really helping.
It's a lot of geodata.
Yeah. Where we really want to help also not only the companies, but also us as citizens to basically come up with a better life environment, that we better deal with the situations where we're in. That is absorbing, and a lot of data is needed to really get that. But how are we going to use the data in the right way? That's always a challenge, and I think that's where we really stand out in the market in providing these solutions. But then it's also, how do you use that data to make better and smarter and faster decisions? Because that's basically what you need to do. We always talked about big data. We collect a lot of big data from sensors, but we had no clue what we wanted to do with it. we change that. So we change that in first thinking with our clients, what do you really want to achieve? Who is your end customer? So not only talk to our customer, but also to their end customers to better understand what challenges they have, where do they really work for. Like in a train, for example. If we really look at the train operator, then we miss that citizen that is stepping in the train with their challenges, because then we miss completely the boat. But we're also thinking about that, getting their challenges involved in the plans that we make together with them. It's a lot easier to make that data strategy for the future for them. So then basically you start thinking, what data do we need to really become successful, to really make sure that we reach that end customer that steps in the train in the right time. But also that data needs to be used in a clever way. So if then our game comes in, cannot be translated in really day-to-day decision-making, changing environments, changing ways how we work, changing processes, then it's just a bunch of data. So that is where that combination of Bentley and Cohesive is very strong. They really understand how to create these solutions. And we step in to make sure that adoption, people involvement, how to use the data, how to use change processes, how to help them with new ways of working, but also helping them with the required strategy for the future, real asset management strategy to get it on paper. That is where we step in.
Can you give our listeners an example of maybe an assignment that Cohesive and Bentley have done with maybe one of the big operators where you've really made a difference? You come up with something groundbreaking, something that people might know about.
Yeah, for me, a very good example is a very large completely new metro system in a city where there was nothing, only sand and a desert, where it was really interesting to see that how long a project is by really being engaged in the design and build phase already, really helping all the parts that are involved to get connected, to make sure that all the documentation is being collected in the right way, that all the contracts are being managed in the right way, to make sure that all these parties are going to collaborate to collect the required data, to build a system where you collect the data and really start building on algorithms. Such large projects, they take 10 years, and then it's all about being there at the right moment with the right companies, connecting them in the right way, really building smart asset management systems. And then at the end you think, why is this all so difficult? But if you really realize that for example, one stair, if it's going down, that a lot of people who want to use that stair to go to the train, it can be completely chaos. Cleaners not being at the right time, at the right spot at a train station can cause a lot of issues if there is some flooding or a lot of rain. And then it comes to very simple, looks simple, but very complex stuff that can be very dangerous if you don't use your data in the right way. If people are stuck in a train, the doors cannot open, for example, it can be horrible. So if you really think about what you achieve with complete systems, using all the data, all the sensors that are out there to just check everything, to also check parking garage, for example, parking places, to really measure that all these cars that are driving towards the station, that they can all park. You cannot imagine what's happening if the parking places are going to be closed. The roads will be stuck. So it's that full system where you add value in combining data, combining information, make sure that everything is maintained in the right way at a certain price, because you still need to be able to pay the ticket. Otherwise, it becomes all too expensive. So building a full system like that, it's really impactful, but also a really cool thing to do.
Brilliant. How do you ideate and evolve your new solutions? Is there a process that you follow, you have followed at Cohesive? Is there some, again, structure around that? Because again, you've got to be quite creative, but at the same time, you have to follow a process when innovating. I'd just be interested to know if there's some secrets that you found work really well.
Well, it's not really a secret, but sometimes you miss that. But it's all about listening to your customers. So we don't focus on all different industries. We have a pretty clear focus on certain industries like transportation, building environments, energy and utilities. So because we really speak the language of our clients, we understand what's happening there. And all our consultants have done over 20 similar projects, working with similar clients where they all learned from. By bringing that customer experience together and really identifying where future needs are, I think that's the key to real customer success, and use that information to continuously anticipate in the needs, in the future needs, and also standardize as much as possible in that. Because if you really understand a certain industry and you can pre-package that first 70% already for them, your solution becomes more efficient. You can do the implementation much faster. You can reduce your implementation time from 12 months to 4 or 5 months. And then it's not perfect, but then at least you have your starting point. And customers recognize what they see, because they see that you really have that best practice information been built up and that you speak that language.
Got it. Henri, what's next for you?
What's next? It's a very good question. Like I said, for me, the game is infinite. Taking even more care next year about our people, our team, that they all can learn, that they can live that dream. Because we have a very strange situation where we all have very smart consultants that can all start their own company, that can also work for the next big 4 companies or other companies that are also very attractive for them. So how can we make sure that they would like to stay, that we really listen carefully to them, how they can build their future and what way it is. It doesn't always have to be in growth in their career, but also stabilizing. That for me is the next journey, to really do that well, to make sure that we can grow, but can grow in a natural way, and not only by acquisitions, but also attracting the right people. That for me is the next step that's very important.
Great, got that. What advice would you give your younger self, your 20-year-old self?
I think I would do it exactly the same. And that's the funny thing. When I was younger, and between 16 and 22, I was, not the easiest guy, not for my mother. She cried many times. I was not going into the right direction. It was not really bad, but I didn't really know what to do. And she thought, that story is not going to end. It's not going into the right direction. But when I really figured out what my passion was, and that also had to do with consultancy, helping companies to become better, improve the processes, that really, really hit me. And I started writing a Minto map with my career, and up until now, and I never really used it, but I noticed that I followed that path exactly like I did draw it when I was 22 and really figured out what I wanted to do. And it always had to do with the right people, the right place, different cultures, combining them, different kind of people, combining them, and make that successful and activate it. So I don't think it will be a different story than I told myself when I was 22.
Interesting. So you've always had that North Star guiding you.
Yeah, without really realizing that was my North Star, but yeah, absolutely.
Got it. If I was to strand you on a desert island tomorrow, what one item would you take? And it can't be a person.
Can it be my dog? No?
Go on then.
Then an item. I'm not really into items, so I'm not really sure.
It could be a book.
I have many books. I always buy books and I read a part of it and then I start a new book. So also there it's never ending. So then it must be many books. And it will always be about something that has to do with psychology. So how do we train our brains? How can we use them in the right way? Can we keep them healthy? So I think it will be something that has to do with a book, how also on an island where you're just by yourself, you need to train them very well to not get completely crazy. So yeah, I think a book about psychology and how our brain work in difficult situations.
Okay, granted. Any parting thoughts for our listeners? And is anything I should have asked you today, Henri, but didn't?
Well, you mentioned shortly about how do you measure happiness. But our business is all about happiness. It's about using your passion in the right way, having the feeling that you can explore them, flourish in what you would like to do. If you have fun, if you in the evening already think, well, next morning is a new day and I can do this because I really get excited about it. That emotional excellence, combining that with operational excellence, is what we do a lot, where we really focus on. And I think that is key in everything what we do. If we can smile every morning, that we are happy that we start a new day, even if that is work or even when it's private, I think that is key to everything that we do.
Fantastic. I love that. Emotional excellence. Haven't heard of that before. Henri, where can people find you online and offline?
Well, I think there's a nice story also on our website. We worked a lot to really express what we like to do. So that's cohesivegroup.com or LinkedIn. I try to share as much as possible the time that I have on the things that I believe in, what I love to do, what I'm going to do. So also on LinkedIn, I think that's a great source to figure out who I am and what my passions are about.
Fantastic. And I follow Henri on LinkedIn and put some great content out there. So, Henri, I think that's a wrap. I've loved having you on the show, unless there's anything else you want to add, but it's been fantastic having you on today.
Yeah, I love it. And I really appreciate that you invited me so that I can share the passion and the work that I do every day. So thanks a lot for that.
I love it. It comes across really strongly. Henri, thanks so much, and safe trip back to Holland.
Thank you.